All right, so let's move on to the uncountable. So here were the answers, right? How much thread, how much yarn, how much baggage, how much sushi, how much popcorn, how much ice, how much mail. So remember, fabrics like yarn, thread, silk, they are uncountable. The same with collective items like baggage, luggage, hair, sushi and popcorn, a lot of foods. And also elements. So ice, water, fire, dirt. It's going to be much, right? How much fire, how much air. And there are special measure words you can use with these if you want to count them. So if you're gonna count thread, you're gonna count spools of thread. So here is one spool of thread. If you're gonna count yarn, you're gonna count a ball of yarn, one ball of yarn, two balls of yarn. For baggage, they're pieces of baggage. Again, though, usually people just say bags. For sushi, it's again pieces of sushi. Here there are two pieces of sushi. For popcorn, you're going to count bags or boxes. For ice, you're going to count cubes. Usually we use the compound noun ice cubes, but you can also say cubes of ice. That's fine. And mail is interesting. So look at this. Mail is uncountable. So you're going to always say, how much mail did you get? And then if you want to count it, maybe I got 2 letters. I got 3 envelopes. But email can be either countable or uncountable. So it shows you that in modern times with the modern language, people are thinking about words differently. So you can say, how much email did you get? Or how many emails did you get? And I think one reason is because with mail, you can count letters, you can count envelopes. But with electronic mail, with emails, there's nothing else to count, right? You can't count letters, you can't count envelopes. So I think that's one reason why. Are there any other questions about this?
I have a question. May I
Yes,
ask?
of course.
So I was wondering about paper. Is it countable or uncountable paper?
Okay, so I'm gonna wait to answer that question because paper will be up very soon. That's a great question. Okay.
Okay.
It's kind of like water and ice cream, if you remember what happened there. All right, so let's continue. You can do a sorting game that's also physical. Get your students moving, get them slapping. Maybe countable is over here, uncountable is here. How much, how many? You can write it on the blackboard. On the left side, how much? On the right side, how many? So we're going to try a virtual sort of slapping game. I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to type in the chat box. Is it much or many? If you can't type, you can say it. That's okay. So for example, number 1, is it much or many? We have a candle. What do you think?
How much or how many?
How many?
How much? How
Okay,
many?
so it's actually how many,
How many?
right? Because a candle is a physical object, right? How many phones? How many candles? What is the
We can
substance?
count candles, yeah.
We can count candles, right? There are 10 candles on the shelf. What's the substance that makes a candle? What is a candle made of?
Wax, wax.
Wax, right? So you know it's a substance, just like a fabric. So what do you think wax will be? Is it going to be many or much?
Much.
Exactly,
How
right? How
much
much
wax?
wax do you
How
have?
much?
How
Exactly.
much?
So that here's the next one. Blood.
How much?
How much?
It's a drop. Is it drop or blood? In
So it's just blood. I don't know if you could see the answer. Let's see.
how much?
It's going to be how much blood? And again, if you want to, I love that someone said drops, because that is going to be your measure word, right? So 1 drop of blood, 2 drops of blood, 3 drops of blood. You might have a vial of blood, right? A doctor might have a vial of blood. So there's different ways to count it, but usually how much blood. There it is. There's my answer. Okay.
Great.
And the next one. So here's paper, toilet paper. What do you think?
How much? How many?
Uh, I think both of them.
So it's
Measure.
it's kind of like
I think
it's kind of like water and blood. It's a substance. Paper is a substance. So it's going to be how much. How much toilet paper do you have? If you want to count it, you need a measure word. What's the measure word here?
How many? Measure words.
But do you see the
Roll.
measure word on the bottom? Rolls,
Roll.
right?
Roll.
1 roll of toilet paper, 2 rolls of toilet paper.
Roll.
Or you just take a little sheet, you can count sheets. I have 1 sheet of toilet paper, 2 sheets, or pieces, right? 1 piece of paper, toilet paper.
Can we say how much toilet paper left?
Yeah, how much toilet paper is left? Correct. That's perfect. And just to add on to the gentleman who asked about paper, it's kind of like water. So typically, we're gonna use it uncountable. How much paper is there? How much paper do you have? But people are lazy, and nowadays, they don't always say pieces. How many pieces of paper do you have? How many sheets of paper do you have? Sometimes you hear people say, oh, how many papers? So paper, the word paper is countable and uncountable. It's both, just like water, just like ice cream. For something like toilet paper, though, it's always uncountable how much toilet paper, unless you use a measure word. All right? So let's go to our next activity. So I did this last year, actually, with my students up in Hujand, and we simply took a stroll. So a stroll is a nice, relaxing, leisurely walk, and it was spring, and we went outside. It was beautiful. It was sunny. They could hear the birds. And they were confused. They were like, Mr. Bennett, we don't leave the classroom. Like, we never go outside the classroom. They were very confused why we were doing it, but it was great. It gave them freedom. What I asked them to do was to walk around the campus and just look, listen, and touch things. And they had to write down everything they came into contact with. And again, they needed to categorize the words. So here are some examples of what they found. A flower, right? So countable in green. How many flowers? Maybe they saw many trees. They felt the air. They heard traffic. They heard, you know what? Noise is actually both. It can be how much noise, how many noises. Noise is both, okay? Birds, dirt, streets.
And
All right, so
sounds of
we're gonna do it here. We're gonna take a stroll in the classroom. I'm gonna give you 90 seconds. Stand up, move around, find things, and write down words and put them into categories. Do you have any questions?
no, clear everything.
It's clear? Okay, if you have a question, write it in the chat box. You have 90 seconds. Go.
Cuba, we had water, and juice, take your pen and all. Right now, the sugar.